Virginia for this special evening. It's a true honor to accept this award on behalf of my dad, who passed away 4 years ago this month. Dad was a special man, a great role model as a dad, husband, papa, brother, uncle, godfather, and friend to so many people over the years. He was a great coach and mentor to so many young men. He loved the game of football and what it stood for, but more importantly, he took a lot of pride in mentoring these young men about life lessons, what it takes to be successful in the game of life. He grew up a Catholic leaguer, living only 4 blocks away from St. Rita, and watching his dad, Barney, coach football and basketball at St. Rita. Grandpa Barney was a legendary basketball coach and led the Mustangs to their first city championship in 1954. Barney was recognized for his accomplishments and inducted into St. Rita and the Catholic League Hall of Fame as well. Dad did attend St. Ignatius for 3 years until they dropped the football program, and he graduated in Leo in 1964. Went on and earned a scholarship to St. Joe's, had a great career, majored in math and education. He was the all-time interception leader for the school. He was also named captain junior and senior year, playing both ways, running back and defensive back. He was inducted into St. Joe's Hall of Fame in 2015. He tried to play at the next level. He had a tryout with the Toronto Argonauts, but he went on to start his new career in teaching and coaching. Dad started as an assistant coach at St. Lawrence with head coach Tom Cavanaugh, where he eventually became the offensive coordinator. Ironically, competed against one of his best friends, Jim Pico, who was the D coordinator at St. Rita. St. Lawrence did win, Jim. At that time at St. Lawrence, they won 3 Pep Bowls championships in a row. And that's where Coach Van Kees fell in love with the wishbone. No matter what defense was trying to defend it, it didn't matter. He didn't care. He ran the football. Funny story, my first year at Brother Rice, he was my assistant. It was a pleasure coaching with my dad. It was just a true honor. And my first year, we played Shepherd. The first drive of the game, we threw the ball about 8 times. We scored a touchdown. He looked at me and said, the ball, he said to me, you threw the ball more in that drive than I did my entire season at St. Lawrence. So here he goes. He moves on to become the head coach at Fenwick, where he turned the program around in just 4 years. He took the Friars from the bottom of the league to eventually share the Catholic League North Conference and won his last 2 seasons. Dad really enjoyed the process of developing his own program, from recruiting to summer camp to off-season training and conditioning. He thrived for that. To film study, to practice, character development, and of course team masters. Everything that goes into running a program, he loved the entire process. There were many coaches that helped him along the way, such as legendary coaches Bo Schembeckler, Woody Hayes, Bob Sutton, and John Harbaugh. The respect and admiration he had for the fellow Catholic League coaches was unmeasurable, especially Catholic League Hall of Famer Tom Mitchell, Pat Cronin, Bob Fabrizio tonight, and all of his assistant coaches over the years that helped him become the best coach he could be. Whenever Dad was around his former players, he referred to them as, "These are my boys." He loved all his players and truly believed in Catholic education and what it meant to be a true student athlete. Through his hard work and inspiring motivation tactics, he reached the hearts and souls of many young men. He believed success was earned, not given. He often stated, "No one will outwork us, and all you need to do is ask your former players." Lastly, this past spring, one of my dad's former players from Fenwick reached out to me and said he heard my son Nick, who recently graduated from Brother Rice this spring, was interested in attending John Carroll University. He mentioned that my dad had a big impact on him and helped him get into John Carroll. He asked me if there was anything he could do to help with the process. This is my son's first choice, but financially we didn't think it was going to be possible. So with his help and a couple others, my son now is attending John Carroll University this fall. The special bond and brotherhood of the Catholic League is truly amazing, and this is what makes this league so special. The legacy of Coach Van Kees continues with the foundation instilled in all of us through family and faith. He's looking down at us today with that $1 million smile, very happy and honored to be a Catholic League Hall of Famer. We love you, Dad, and thank you for all you've given us. Thank you.
Our second inductee into the Chicago Catholic League Hall of Fame is Coach Bob Fabrizio. Bob Fabrizio began his career in education at St. Lawrence High School. Bob, I think also, we were talking about you at the table, I'm pretty sure you're probably the only Lane Tech grad who's going to be in our Hall of Fame, so congratulations on that. For 15 years, Bob served the St. Lawrence community as a PE instructor and dean of students. He was a longtime assistant under Catholic League Hall of Famers Tom Cavanaugh and Mike O'Neill. He eventually took over as the head football coach in 1986, and he led the St. Lawrence Vikings to the conference crown in '87. He was also the head baseball coach for 8 years, leading the Vikings to 2 conference championships in 1979 and 1982, as well as 2 regional titles in 1978 and 1982 as well. Bob is a 2-time Lawless recipient in 1979 and 1982 as the Outstanding Coach of the Year in the Catholic League. Bob would eventually continue his coaching career at the collegiate ranks at both St. Xavier and Elmhurst College, respectively. Eventually, he finished his educational career at Stagg High School, where he served as the Dean and Athletic Director, and where he was recognized by the Illinois Athletic Directors Association as the Athletic Director of the Year in 2006 and 2007. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Bob Fabrizio into the Chicago Catholic League Hall of Fame.
Good evening. I'd like to thank the Catholic League Hall of Fame Committee for this prestigious award, for Mr. Bob Fabrizio, who nominated me, and congratulate all of my fellow inductees. As I attended Catholic League dinner on a Thursday night, it brings back memories of the kickoff dinner that we used to have at 63rd and Harlem in the VFW Hall. It was a family-style dinner, much like tonight. And before the dinner, I'd get about $25, and I'd get the waitress, and I'd say, listen, we'd like our food brought to our table first. Oh, okay. And then I'd point to the St. Rita Mount Carmel table and said, they like their food last. And when she asked why, I said, well, they're fasting for religious purposes, and we hope you can respect their wishes. She goes, I'll make sure they get it last. I'm up here tonight for 3 reasons. The incredible student athletes that I had the privilege to coach at St. Lawrence, the dedicated coaches I had an opportunity to work with, and the blessing and support of a loving family. My mom, Gary, she's here. She's 91 years old. If there was a Mother's Hall of Fame, she'd be in it. My brothers, Nick and Dan, retired officers in the Chicago Fire Department. My nephew, Mike, is coach at St. Pat's. Our children, my son, Tom, and his wife, Krista, my daughter, Jenna, and my son Bob. They're easy to raise, fun to be around, very successful in their own careers, and we're very proud of them. The head coach and general manager of our family is my wife of 42 years, Maureen. She took on so much of the parenting and household responsibilities so that I could pursue my coaching career. And without her and her support, there is no coaching career, there is no Hall of Fame. So I love you and thank you very much. I started at Catholic League at St. Lawrence in 1974. There I would meet some men who would become my mentors and lifelong friends. Hall of Famer, the late Tom Cavanaugh, Hall of Famer, the late Chuck Schwartz, Hall of Famer, the late George Backey, and Mr. Ray Conrath. And they would teach me what I would need to do to be successful in the league. The first thing was to bring out the best in ourselves and our players each and every day. The second was the need for tireless preparation. And the third, the need to be thankful for the opportunity to coach such great kids. We were a part of many great victories in football and baseball at St. Lawrence, but there are no great victories without great opponents. And there was no shortage of great opponents in the Catholic League. I'm forever grateful for my Catholic League experience. In closing, again, I'd like to thank the selection committee and to all the players, coaches, officials, managers, umpires, all the men and women that I've worked with over the years. Thank you so much for being a part of my life, and thank you so much for letting me be a part of yours. Thank you. Good night.
We'll be fine with this. Our third inductee in the Chicago Catholic Hall of Fame is someone that you cannot discuss Loyola Academy basketball and not mention him. He was a 4-year varsity starter for the Ramblers. He was recognized as an all-conference, all-Catholic League performer all 4 years, including his freshman year, which is incredible. He was the lawless recipient as the Player of the Year his senior year. He was a 2-time All-State selection, a 2-time captain of his team, and he would end his career as the school's all-time leading scorer with 2,045 points. Upon graduating from Loyola Academy, he also established records in 7 other categories. He continued his basketball career and education at Notre Dame University, where he was all Big East first team as a senior, and he graduated as the school's all-time leader in 3-point field goals made. He played professionally overseas for over 3 seasons. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Collin Falls into the Chicago Catholic League Hall of Fame.
Thank you. I'm very honored and appreciative of the Chicago Catholic League and its members for including me in this year's class. When I received the news from Coach O'Loughlin last year, it made me immediately reflect on how fortunate I was for the individuals that believed me throughout my basketball journey. An honor like this would not be possible without the coaches, teammates, and the support system I had starting at a very young age, starting with St. Julianus, and then Loyola, and then on to Notre Dame. There are so many people I should thank, but I'd like to single out a few. First, to my coaches and teammates. At every step along the way, I was so lucky to have high character leaders and teammates that always pushed me to dream big and do things the right way. I'd specifically like to call out Coach O'Loughlin, here tonight, and Coach Levantino from Loyola. I know there are other Coach O's and Coach Levatinos across this conference who have truly committed their careers to the young men and programs that make up this league. Your lifelong commitments to us is what makes this conference such a special and unique experience. Thanks to each of you. To my family, my sister Maura, my brother and former teammate at Loyola Brendan, and my parents, thank you. And no, Dad, it's not because you think you taught me how to shoot. You've been incredible role models, not just in the way you've lived your own lives, but as parents. Having 3 young children of my own, 2 are here today, I now better understand the endless sacrifices parents make in raising children. Wow. Thank you. But to compare you to traditional parents would be unfair. You are both truly exceptional. The support, love, and freedom you have provided me has been the #1 driving force in any of my successes in life. And finally, to my wife, Lael, and my 3 young boys, Jack, Ryan, and Grant. For athletes, careers come to an end, sometimes in your teens, and for those lucky enough, later in life. When your identity is so closely tied to the sport you've committed your life to, I think it's often or underestimated how hard it can be to transition to the next phase. Newly married 10 years ago, I began that transition. Lael, your endless patience, support, love, and when needed, tough love, has continually pushed me outside my comfort zone into a family life and career exceeding my wildest dreams. Thank you. In closing, thank you again to all the members of the Chicago Catholic League for this very special night.
Our next inductee into the Chicago Catholic Hall of Fame is a proud 1974 graduate of Brother Rice High School. He played basketball and baseball for the Crusaders. He began his officiating career nearly 50 years ago. Is that 50 years ago? Is that right, Jack? Wow. 34 years as a football referee and 47 as a basketball official. He's officiated at the high school, collegiate, and professional ranks. During his career, he's been parts of crews that have officiated many college football bowl games. He's the former president of the Central Officials Association. Please join me this evening in welcoming Mr. Jack Lyman in the Catholic League Hall of Fame.
I would like to thank the committee for honoring me with this great honor. I am truly grateful and honored. I stand before you not only as an accomplished what I've done in the Catholic League, they have taught me what I've done all the way to this point. Before I ever thought of going to the Catholic high school, my parents had a plan to have their children educated at a Catholic school. 2 girls went to Mother McCauley, 4 boys went to Brother Rice, and yes, 1 went to St. Lawrence. My father, whom we just buried 2 weeks ago, was a 2-time All-City lightweight and heavyweight basketball player at Tilden Tech. He was also inducted to the Softball Hall of Fame. It was very important for him to see his children get a Catholic education. A man, and then afterwards, I was playing basketball for Brother Rice. A man named Frank Strosha, a former president of the Catholic League, said, "Kid, you're not going to the NBA, so why don't you start reffing?" And that began my career. And after that, came Tom Quinn. Tom Quinn was a big-time football official. He taught me to understand the rule book. And Ray Duran and Don Hicks taught me the common sense and communication of officiating. Then I went to most of my training came from the COA. The COA would tell you where to go, how to stand, and better yet, how to handle people. Well, along the way, I'm not standing here because of what necessarily I did. As someone else said, I'm here because I had a lot of coaches and teachers along the way. One is Bill Helmer, who assigned the Catholic League, and he is a great man to have, and too bad he is retired. The other one was Jim McHugh. Those of you who know Jim McHugh from Mount Carmel. He's the person that started the kickoff classic for young men to play football at Soldiers Field before the season started. And along the way, I was involved in some great games in the Catholic League. Football was Mount Carmel, St. Rita, Brother Rice, St. Rita. Those are great games. And basketball, DSL, Gordon Tech, Brother Rice, and St. Lawrence. But as we all know, we all have stories, and the officials have many of them. One of the stories I'll leave you with this evening is true. It happened. 2 Catholic teams are playing, and I was the 3rd person of the 3-man crew, and my partner called a foul. The visiting coach didn't like that call. So I rotated over in front of him and he says, Jack, what was that all about? I says, Coach, I don't know. Well, when I have a chance, I'll have that official come over to you. And he looked at me and he says, Merry Christmas. Well, normally I wouldn't mind it. It's December. It's the middle of February. So I knew exactly what he was saying. I looked at him and I said, Merry Christmas to you and Happy New Year. Well, he said to me, no one's ever said that to me. We both smiled. We both went on with our game and everything went fine. But, once again, if it wasn't for the Catholic League, I would not be standing here today. Thank you very much.
That actually went well for someone who spent 47 years as an official. Well done. Okay, our next inductee in the Chicago Catholic League Hall of Fame is a 1983 graduate of Mount Carmel High School. He was an all-state selection in 1982 after he led the Caravan to a semifinal finish in the state playoffs. He went on to start 42 games at the University of Louisville for the legendary coach Howard Schellenberger. In 1983, he was voted the most valuable freshman of the team and freshman of the year. In 1985, he was honored as the most valuable defensive lineman. He was the first Louisville player to win the John Unitas Inspirational Award twice, in 1985 and 1986. Mike has been part of the Mount Carmel community since 1996 as a coach and a teacher. In 2011, he was awarded the Man of the Arena recognition as well as being inducted into the Mount Carmel Hall of Fame. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Mike Minogue in the Catholic League Hall of Fame.
Thank you. I'm honored to be a member of the Catholic League Hall of Fame. I feel the Catholic League is the best conference in the country. We have the best players, coaches, and officials. I would like to thank my parents for all the sacrifice they sent to me for sending me to Mount Carmel and their support in college and the years after that. Thank you very much, Mom and Dad. My wife Jennifer for all your support and understanding. And finally to my brothers and sisters for all their support. Especially my sister Kelly is the only one who showed up today. And I want to say hello to my sister Colleen. She's in Arizona. She couldn't make it. I couldn't afford a plane ticket. I have a few more thank yous to people who helped me through my journey. Most of these people are Catholic Leaguers, but mostly Mount Carmel people. The first one I'd like to thank is Ron Madrick, who got hired at the University of Louisville in 1983 and offered me a scholarship. Coach Madrick is a Carmel grad. We still talk today, and we get together when he's in there all the time. We always talk Carmel things, Catholic League things. He tells me things like that. The next person I'd like to thank is Coach Frank Lenti for giving me the opportunity to come back to MC and coach. I had the opportunity to play for Coach Frank when he came back to Mount Carmel in 1982. I learned a lot from Coach Frank. Not only football, but life. What a great man and great person. The next person I'd like to thank is Father Carl Markels for giving me the opportunity to teach at Mount Carmel High School. And finally, to all the people that I coach with and taught with, they make work at MC enjoyable and fun. The old saying goes that if you like what you do, it's not really work. Thank you and have a safe summer. Thank you.
Our next inductee is a proud 1981 graduate of Brother Rice High School. He played for the legendary Crusader coach Tom Mitchell. He was a member of the 1980 Prep Bowl championship team. He later went on to play fullback for Augustana, where they were the Division III national runners-up in 1982. He later transferred to Northern Illinois University, where he played on the 1983 team that played in the California Bowl. He returned to Brother Rice and for 13 years served as the head coach. His teams won 97 games during that span. Twice he won the Chicago Catholic League championship with his team and made the state playoffs 10 years and won the Prep Bowl twice. His career path led him to coach at York, Montini, and St. Lawrence. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Steve Nye in the Chicago Catholic League Hall of Fame.
I would like to begin by thanking the nominating committee of the Chicago Catholic League Hall of Fame and those who wrote letters on my behalf for this recognition. As a Catholic leader for over 40 years, it is truly a great honor and highlight of my coaching career. I would also like to congratulate my fellow inductees, especially the Van Kees family. George was always a great supporter of the team and myself during my tenure at Brother Rice. Life has a funny way of turning out. Had you told me 20 years ago that I'd be teaching and coaching at St. Lawrence, the head coach at Fenwick, Joe DeCanio, would be one of my best friends in coaching, and I would be on the same staff as Mount Carmel's Frank Lenti and texting him at midnight after games, I don't think I would have been believed you. If I had been texting Coach Lenny 20 years ago, I do know that I would not have been hitting the send button. There are a few groups of people that I'd like to thank because they are primarily responsible for this honor. A football coach's family has to share their husband and father's time with a whole group of people and miss out on many events because of Dad's profession. My wife Jackie didn't marry a football coach, but again, things kind of worked out that way. I can't thank her enough supporting my goals personally and professionally and being such a wonderful wife and mom. I know how fortunate I am. Thank you to my son Tom, who's the answer to the often asked question, who's the most favorite player that you ever coached? And my daughter Elizabeth, who's the one athlete I wish I could have coached. Though she would probably tell you I offered her a lot of unsolicited advice over the years. A father couldn't be any prouder of his children and all you have accomplished. Thank you to my parents, who were incredible role models for me growing up. They, like many parents today, made sacrifices in order to send their children to Catholic schools. My favorite part of football season now is the time watching the Bears games with them on Sundays. Also thanks to my brothers and sisters, Greg, Lori, and Janine, and all my in-laws, nieces and nephews who supported me in the teams I have coached. I know that they always enjoyed the games, but I'm not sure going to Palermo's Pizza after the game wasn't the main attraction. Thank you to my hometown and Our Lady of Loretto friends, Tom Hart, Mark Clutchard, Mike Ryan, and Tom O'Connor. You can always count on childhood friends to be there when you need them and to bust your chops whenever necessary. I've had the distinct privilege to play for and work for some of the finest head coaches, assistant coaches, and administrators in Catholic League history. I was very fortunate to work with an extremely dedicated and talented group of assistants who worked alongside me at Brother Rice to run a program that we were all very proud of. Brother Rice head coaches Tom Mitchell, Bill Gleason, and assistant coach Dennis Duffy taught me to always keep the game in its proper perspective and keep the kids' best interests first and foremost. A special thank you to Brother Walzak, who served as president of Brother Rice during most of my tenure, and to another great supporter in Tim O'Connor. Thanks to Montini's president, Jim Segredo, and head coach Chris Angiano, who rescued me back to the Catholic League and allowed me to be part of a state championship football team and the school's legendary tradition. To St. Lawrence's Joe Martinez, Jim Muting, and Harold Blackman, thank you for bringing me back to the South Side, and the current coach Adam Nissen, who hopefully keeps me there. The last group I want to thank is my former players, who many seem to be catching me up to me in age, and I now call friends. Legendary Alabama football coach Barry Bryant once said, "I ain't never seen a jockey carry a horse across the finish line." Success is impossible without talented, high-character players, and I've had the good fortune to coach a bunch. To name only a few would be a disservice to all my former players who have had a profound impact on my life. One of the great joys of coaching is seeing former players years later and hearing about the success they have achieved in their personal and family lives. As a Catholic leaguer, I consider myself fortunate to have been a member of 5 Prep Bowl championship teams as a player, assistant coach, and head coach. I don't know what's going to happen next season, and I do know that every team's situation is different. But for those who want to play, not one of those teams who won the Prep Bowl felt it wasn't a worthwhile experience. To end the season with a championship, brag about how great your team was with your teammates, play together for a few last weeks, earn a ring, and reminisce about it 40 years later is truly a gift. If the past year has taught us anything, it's to take advantage of every opportunity to share great times with families and friends. Thank you again for this honor.
Our next inductee is a proud 1993 graduate of St. Rita High School. He was named the Chicago Sun-Times Prep Athlete of the Year as a senior, mainly based on his athletic feats in both football and track and field. He was the state champion in both the 100 and 200 meter events. He later was awarded a scholarship to play football at the University of Wisconsin. Tony Touchdown Simmons was born when he caught a school record 23 touchdowns. He was also a Big Ten champion in both the 100 and 200 meter events. He later was drafted by the New England Patriots. He has coached football on 4 different continents. They play football in that many different areas besides here? Please welcome me, and please join me again, in welcoming Mr. Tony Simmons in the Chicago Catholic League Hall of Fame.
Let's see here. Okay. It's an honor to be inducted into the Catholic League Hall of Fame. Everybody, when you hear Hall of Fame, you think that guys have matured themselves out or they did something special. And now I look at all these guys that I'm coming in now with, we did something special. So, leave it at that. As I was flying back to Chicago because I was working, I didn't know what to say. I had no words to say to anything about this. And then I realized that the Catholic League made me the man that I am today. I started at a public school back in the day, and I was a young kid, transferred to a Catholic school, St. Rita Catholic school, and then that's when my journey started. The journey is sweet, and it was fun. Went to St. Rita High School, got an opportunity to enjoy, be a part of something that was hugely special, being part of old St. Rita and going into the new St. Rita, which was the biggest transformation ever. If anyone knows about that school, how much dedication and honor would it be at old St. Rita at 63rd Claremont versus 79th Western. And now I had to understand one thing, what Chicago Catholic League meant to me. Chicago made me the man that I am today. They made me resourceful. They made me street smart. Catholic gave me that faith. St. Rita gave me the faith. And League was about the team, that everyone that I had a chance to mix with. All my friends, family, everyone that was there. I would like to thank special people. There were programs that helped me actually get through the program that I was. It was a Lincoln Limited program back in the day. I had a sponsor that actually sponsored me through through high school to actually make it through St. Rita because my mom, we was broke. So this was how I wanted to give them. Jerry Spear and Vicky Spear, they sponsored me to get through high school. I want to thank my family and friends that were there, and most importantly because I lost my mom last year. I know she's right now looking down on me and saying, boy, you did good. Finally did it. Keep doing it, keep doing it. And I'll thank my mom, Dorothy Simmons, for everything she's given. And everybody that's here, thank you. Thank you very much.
Our next inductee is a 1986 graduate of St. Francis de Sales High School. He was a 3-year starter for the Pioneers. After his career at St. Francis de Sales, he went on to continue playing football at the University of Miami in Florida, where he would start for 48 consecutive games. He was a member of 2 Hurricane National Championship teams. In 2009, he was inducted into the Miami Sports Hall of Fame. He was eventually drafted by the Dallas Cowboys. He has coached and is currently a coach at the NFL level for over 18 years, currently with the Tennessee Titans. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Mike Sullivan in the Chicago Catholic League Hall of Fame.
Okay, so the year is 2001 or 2002, I'm not really sure, but I'm not going to let any facts get in the way of these stories tonight. I just moved back to the States after 5 fantastic years living in Europe. At the invitation of what I can finally say was a fellow Catholic League Hall of Famer. He's one of the Southside's favorite sons. He's the best athlete to ever walk the halls in St. Francis de Sales, and he left us way too early in 2018, Eric Anderson. I think you all remember his name. But I was over living with him in Italy for 5 years and made my way back. And within 6 months, after a very fortunate series of events, I find myself coaching in the NFL with the Cleveland Browns. And we're actually winning some games. On top of that, I fall madly in love with the smartest and most beautiful girl I'd ever met in my life. And thank God you guys can meet her later on tonight too, because she's still with me at that table. And to finish off the trifecta of good Irish luck, I get a call from the Chicago Catholic League Hall of Fame saying that, you know, we've been trying to get a hold of you for the last 5, 6 years. We just haven't been able to track you down, but there's a nomination meeting coming up, and if you can get some paperwork into us, I think this is a good time for it. And I was pumped because I wanted this. I wanted to be a part of this group. And the season started, and we were actually making our way to the playoffs in Cleveland. And I think there's enough football people out here to know that that's big stuff. It kind of turn your head a little bit. I lost track. I lost track of the deadline. I mixed it up, and when I finally looked in that mailbox, when they were still using mail, I know my kids won't understand that, but the mailbox came. I saw the letter in there, and I panicked, and I called up, and I said, I missed the deadline. And he said, you missed the deadline? And I said, what can I do? And they said, and I remember the call. I don't know why I remember this call, but the guy was so poised and so calm and collected. He said, relax. He goes, fill the paperwork out, send it in. I'll be the first in line next year. Go enjoy that great season you're having. Go enjoy that beautiful girl that you can't stop talking about. And we'll be talking to you real soon. I got that call 20 years later. Okay? I got the call 20 years later. Okay? And I'm fine with that. I think that's fair. I think that's good. That table over there can attest, I love a good Chicago grudge more than anybody. Okay? I employ it daily. I don't have a problem with it. Okay? It's fine. Thank you for a great, great night for me. I'm touched. I'm really touched. You know, that table that's sitting over there with me is a snapshot of my whole life. And I can't tell you how much I love everybody at that table. And I know my kids are going to think, you know, the last 24 hours don't seem like it, but it's true. It really is true. You know, but there is one thing that just, it really boggles my mind. It just boggles my mind. Is I've been blessed to coach on some really, really quality programs, some quality teams, and everybody there knows the Chicago Catholic League. I've been on the East Coast, I've been on the West Coast, I've been Cleveland, Kalamazoo, Nashville, and everybody knows the Catholic League. And I know why they know the Catholic League. It's because all the parents that were driving us to practices and camps. It's all the coaches who were staying up late, wearing 3, 4 hats, going to clinics, doing everything they could to get to the next game. And I know why, because of the guys that sit at that table that organize all this stuff and organize the game, the schedules, and all, in so many hours. It's so intimidating. And they know because you make a real difference in people's lives. And you made a real difference in my life. Till tonight. Up until tonight. All the way up until tonight. So, St. Francis de Sales, pray for us. St. Francis de Sales, just protect that tough little school on the southeast side that's still chugging along. St. Francis de Sales, pray for all these inductees and the families. St. Francis de Sales, pray for the next 100 years of this Catholic League. Peace and love.
Our next inductee is a 1982 graduate of Loyola Academy. He was a two-year letterman for the Ramblers. His senior year, he was both All-Chicago Catholic League and an honorable mention All-State player. Upon graduation, Tom set single-season and career records for assists. He went on to play at the University of South Florida, where he would start for 3 years. He was selected to the All-Conference team during his career with the Bulls, and then later on continued to coach for them. In 1998, he was inducted into the Loyola Academy Hall of Fame. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Tom Tinelli in the Chicago Academy Hall of Fame.
To say I'm incredibly honored and humbled to be standing here before you tonight as an inductee of the Chicago Catholic League Hall of Fame is an understatement. I'd like to thank the committee for feeling that I was worthy of this honor, and congratulate all the fellow inductees. Even before tonight, I was always a proud alumnus of the Catholic League. For me, it was a badge of honor to say I played high school basketball in the Chicago Catholic League. As a basketball coach in Tampa, at the college and high school level for the past 34 years, I tell people all the time that playing in the Catholic League is probably equivalent to playing in the Big Ten or the ACC or the Big East at the college level. Every night you face off against one conference rival after another. Every game you face great players, great teams, great coaches. Every game is a hard-fought battle where you learn to compete with toughness, pride, passion, teamwork, and a relentless will to win. That's what you learn when you play and are part of the Chicago Catholic League. And I don't care what sport that is. As a little kid growing up on the north side of Chicago, my dad used to take me to Loyola Academy in Wilmette to see the Ramblers play. I was always eager to see the games. Just whenever they took the floor, I would get goosebumps as a young grammar school kid. And it became my dream to play high school basketball for Loyola Academy and compete in the Chicago Catholic League. My induction tonight is not about I or me, it's about we and all the people that made it possible for me to stand here before you tonight and receive this honor. First and foremost, I'd like to thank my late mother and father, Marge and Tom Tinelli, Sr. They, like everybody had mentioned, the financial sacrifices they made as parents to send me to Loyola Academy. My mother was a stay-at-home mom. My dad was an electrician for the Chicago Park District. They were both great examples of how hard work, commitment, and selflessness will reward your life with richness beyond anything that money can buy. I'd also like to thank two of the greatest cheerleaders and fans I ever had as a basketball player. My sisters, Tina and Tammy, who are here tonight. Their support and encouragement always meant the world to me at every level of basketball that I ever played, but especially while I played at Loyola. When I graduated my senior year, they even surprised me with a scrapbook from my career at Loyola, which I still pull out once in a while and get some good laughs and cherish to this day. I have a deep appreciation and love for Loyola Academy. I'm thankful for the Jesuit education I received, both academically and spiritually, during my 4 years at Loyola. I made lifelong friendships that I cherish to this day. More than anything, however, I can't begin to tell you how blessed I was to play for some of the greatest men and coaches an athlete could ever have. My freshman coach, John O'Loughlin, my sophomore coach, Bud Phillips, my varsity coach, the late Jim O'Donnell, and my assistant coach, who moved up each year as I moved through the program, Tom Fitzgerald. I'm so thankful for all the things those wonderful men and coaches taught me and brought out in me as a player and a person. I revere all of them to this day and the impact they have had on my life. I would have never gone on to become the collegiate player I was at the University of South Florida or the coach I am today without each one of them and all they did for me as coaches while I was at Loyola. I would also like to thank and acknowledge all the hardworking and dedicated teammates I had throughout my time at Loyola, especially three fellow seniors from the class of '82, Kurt Feireisel, Mike Senar, and Joe Flanagan, who were all outstanding players in their own right. One of the things I'm most proud of in standing here before you tonight is the fact that I can now join two other members of my immediate family in calling myself a Catholic League Hall of Famer. On my mother's side of the family, I joined my late uncle, the legendary DePaul Academy and Loyola Academy coach, basketball coach Bill Gleason. And on my father's side, I joined my late uncle and DePaul Academy and University of Notre Dame football great Mario Tinelli as members of the Catholic League Hall of Fame. Growing up, both of them used to joke with me that I wouldn't grow up to be much of anything, but now I guess I can tell them I'm right there with them. They were both people I admired and looked up to as a youngster, and they were great inspirations in my career as an athlete and coach. In closing, I'd like to thank the people that have joined me at our table tonight, my lovely wife of 31 years, my head coach, Kristen, and our three kids watching back in Tampa, Thomas, Matthew, and Allie, my sister Tina and her husband Paul Labus, my nephew and godson Jimmy Labus and his twin sister Colleen, who's also watching at home tonight, my sister Tammy and her husband, and Chicago fireman Joe Martinelli, my loving aunt and uncle, and filling in Ed Gleason and his young son Eddie Gleason, and my wonderful cousin Kevin Donahue. I love all of you so much. I'm honored that you are here to share this special night with me. Thank you for this humbling honor. Go Ramblers and God bless.
Our next inductee is someone that I actually got to know when he was in grammar school. Actually, he was supposed to come to St. Rita. The day of the entrance exam, as everyone knows, is quite the rite of passage for Catholic high schools. In those days, to be sure that someone you really were interested in having come to your school, once in a while you'd have maybe a member of your staff go to that youngster's house to be sure that he made it to your school where he should belong. So the day of the entrance exam, when this young man was an 8th grader, I dispatched one of my assistants to go over to his house, pick him up. Entrance exam starts. About 15 minutes later, my assistant comes back. I see him, I go, "Did you get her?" He wasn't there. What do you mean he wasn't there? I rang the doorbell, knocked on the door. He wasn't there. He never came to the door. I know where he went. So he ended up at St. Martin de Porres with a good friend of mine, Mike Mandarino. And the rest is history. I'm just joking, obviously. I love Tyron Triplett. The only problem was I had to coach against him, not only in baseball, but in basketball for 4 years, where he was a royal pain in the neck to have to coach against. He's a 1996 graduate of St. Martin de Porres, where he started in both baseball and basketball. He led his baseball team to their only regional championship, and Mike Mandarino did a phenomenal job in both sports, but particularly as a baseball coach at St. Martin. No one got more out of his players than Mike did. He led the Catholic League in scoring and three-point shooting in his senior year. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Tyron Triplett in the Chicago Catholic League Hall of Fame.
Hey, how y'all doing today? I would like to thank God, thank my parents, my family, my teammate, especially Coach Mandarino, my fiance. I have my son here. This is such an honor. I thank the committee, especially for voting me in. And it's just an honor to be amongst beautiful people and being a part of the Catholic League. I mean, it's life. It really is. I'd like to thank Jerry G, my teammate, my teammate, Tutu, Gregory Lee, right here, he's with us right here. And just the experience of being in the Catholic League, it taught me how life is, you know. I mean, sometimes you lose a game, sometimes you win. And that's just like how life is. And, pretty much, I just like to thank everybody. That's it. Short and sweet.
Our next inductee is a proud 1976 graduate of Mount Carmel. He led the Caravan to the 1975 Catholic League Water Polo Championship. He was the Catholic League Lawless Award winner his senior year. He was the most valuable player in the state and a first-team All-American selection. He later started at the University of Illinois Chicago, where he helped UIC win 2 NCAA regional championships. He was later named as one of the top 50 athletes in UIC athletic history, and he has been inducted into 4 different Halls of Fame. He was recently honored as the Mount Carmel Man of the Arena Award winner. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Mike Glamis in the Chicago Catholic League Hall of Fame.
First of all, I want to give a heartfelt thank you to all the Catholic League Hall of Fame officers, not just for acknowledging me and the class represented here tonight, but for all that you do to keep this great league alive and well. Congratulations to all my fellow inductees. I am honored and humbled to be elected to this great Hall of Fame. I know several members personally. In fact, 3 other members inducted here tonight are friends of mine. I heard about many more Hall of Fame inductees as an avid sports fan and also from my father. My mom and dad were my biggest fans. Dad was a member of the Tilden Tech City Championship Wrestling team in 1948, and my mom is the one who dragged me to the South Chicago YMCA to learn how to swim. I had great parents, and they never missed a game, a meet, a boxing match, or whatever I was competing in. Sports was always a priority in my life. We played every sport growing up in Vets Park, whatever was in season. Football, baseball, basketball, wrestling, boxing. We even played ping pong in the wintertime. When high school came around, my public choices were Bowen, CDS, and Washington. But our neighbor was John Tumpich, a chief on the Chicago Fire Department and former Mount Carmel wrestler and football player. So thank you, Mr. Tumpich, for introducing me to Mount Carmel. I would also like to thank all my teammates, too many to name, and coaches, Dan Murphy, Bob Danner, Art Kolbish, and Rich Norman, because none of my success would ever be possible without each and every one of them, especially my Mount Carmel co-captain, Mike Blake, sitting right over there. We were perhaps the best 1-2 combination that any water polo team ever had. Number 1 and number 2 in the league and in the state in scoring. We even went to college together, except Mike had a career-ending injury after his sophomore year. I was recruited by UCLA and Coach Bob Horn, who was also the Olympic team coach. At that meeting, he looked at my bio and said, 6'3", 205 pounds. You're my smallest recruit. I very politely told him that I am from South Chicago, Mount Carmel High School, and competed in the Chicago Catholic League, and I will be your toughest. With that, he waved in 2 coaches. One was UCLA's football coach, Terry Donahue,
and the other was the legendary basketball coach, John Wooden. I was in awe. However, I never took him up on his offer. No matter where you come from, no matter what obstacles you're born with or suffer through, you can achieve anything and accomplish anything if you have the courage to truly believe in yourself. I was a late bloomer and used to come home from school and work out on my own, just to compete with everyone else. I used to run in the sand at Rainbow Beach. I used to lift plastic weights in the basement that my mother bought with S&H green stamps. Does anyone remember them? My dad told me I might not be the strongest, fastest, or most talented, but he told me I could be better than everyone else at one thing, and that one thing was work ethic. So he taught me to outwork everyone else, keep my nose to the grindstone, do what you're told, work hard at everything you do, and you will pass up everyone else. And you know what? He was right. I love the game of water polo. And as much as I wanted to be a wide receiver or a first baseman and pitcher, once I picked up the water polo ball, something magical happened. People don't look at water polo as a contact sport. Well, I've broken every finger on both hands. I've had numerous stitches in my face, bloody noses, black eyes. My left hip has been replaced. The right one is next. My right shoulder needs a total replacement. And I have a bad back and a bad neck. I can only imagine how you football players feel. In order to be great at anything, you have to recognize the opportunity presented to you and then pursue it with a vengeance. Listen to your coaches, and the Catholic League always has some great ones. Put in the work, train on your own in the off season, and on game day give it your all until you have nothing left to give. Determination, dedication, and discipline are words I not only used in sports, but throughout my entire life. I have been blessed through sports, from humble beginnings in South Chicago to winning the Pan Pacific Games and beating several former Olympians in the process. I want to give a quick shout out to my wife Denise and my children, Michael, Kelsey, and Stephanie. Only one of mine is here, the one that lives in Chicago. The other two are in LA. And all my friends who are here with me this evening, some I've known 55 years. And lastly, I want to mention this. I am a firm believer in academics and getting a great education. However, I would be remiss if I did not say this. I don't remember who sat next to me in biology, history, or chemistry class, but I do remember each and every one of my teammates at every level. Guys I practiced with every day and went to battle with in some tough games. I know their strengths and weaknesses and all of their nicknames. To this day, I cannot forget any one of them, and I will never forget this night. Thank you all very much, and God bless.
Our next inductee in the Catholic League Hall of Fame is a 1968 graduate of Minogue Catholic. He was a three-sport star at Minogue. He was both All-City and All-State as a senior in football. He also was the Catholic League heavyweight wrestling champion as a senior. He continued excelling in all three sports at the University of Iowa. He lettered for 4 years as a defensive tackle. He was drafted by the Baltimore Colts, and currently he works in advancement for the university. In 2015, he was inducted into the Mendel Hall of Fame. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Bill Windauer in the Catholic League Hall of Fame.
I'm going to put this in here because I have a loud voice. You can hear me. Hey, Mike. I wish I would have played water polo. I got 2 new knees, 2 new shoulders, and about 20 major surgeries. So I got you beat, but I'm still perfect. Well, I was wondering what a cross-section this group is. It's wonderful looking at everybody in the list. And I always wonder where all these years have gone. You know, it's gone on 50 years. and I have so many people to thank along the way. But before I do, I'd like to say that looking back at all my accomplishments, so many have done so much more than me. They are all my heroes. First, I'd like to thank John Ferris, a Mendel classmate, who nominated me for this position. I appreciate that a whole lot. Next, I'd like to thank Paul Chabura and the selection committee for choosing me. And so much thanks goes out to all my coaches over the years for seeing something in me that helped me reach higher levels of success each day. A strong family also helps in life's path in helping you be the best that you can be. And finally, to all my teammates and friends who were with me all along the way, thanks to all the above. Along with John Ferris, the others who have joined me tonight are my son Will, nephews Paul, Anthony, and Brian Carlos, and Brian's son Nicholas, all exceptional athletes. They are just a part of my large, wonderful family. I should get better sticking. Also, 3 of my close teammates and friends, Mike Anthony from Mendel Football, Tom DiBenedetti from Mendel Wrestling, and an Iowa football teammate and roommate, Kelly Disser. They all mean so much to me. Even though I owe so much to all the above, the following are my real heroes. First, my high school football and wrestling coach, who is also a Catholic League Hall of Famer, Coach Lou Gaida, a battle-hardened Marine who fought at Iwo Jima. He toughened me up and loved me like a son. Also, Jack Dalton, an upperclassman, wrestling teammate and captain, who went to Vietnam and died a hero on my 16th birthday. I visit his name on the Vietnam Memorial every time I go to Washington, D.C. He taught me leadership and commitment. And most of all, my parents. My father, Dr. Bob Windauer, a 1933 graduate of Mount Carmel. He was a decorated World War II naval medical officer. He was sent to Pearl Harbor after the attack in 1941 to identify the dead and take care of the wounded Marines and sailors throughout the South Pacific, including Iwo Jima and other major battles. He taught me compassion and love of adventure in life, and my wonderful mother, who taught me the golden rule. I thank these 4, most of all, for making me who I am today. And finally, I'm so proud to have been an Iowa Hawkeye, a Baltimore Colt, a New York Giant, an Atlanta Falcon, a Miami Dolphin, but mostly a Mendel Monarch, and part of the Catholic League, and of course a Windauer. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get off Catholic inductees with one last round of applause. This concludes the 2020-21 Chicago Catholic League Hall of Fame induction ceremony. We thank all of our attendants tonight, and once again, congratulations. Before we leave, we'd like to officially conclude our evening with a prayer. So let us please place ourselves in the presence of our Lord. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Thank you, Lord, for your presence with us this evening. As we depart from this space now, we ask you to bless us and guide us safely home.
Do not let the camaraderie and the conversation of this gathering die, but instead, may they continue to ruminate within us and bear fruit in our ministries throughout the year until we find ourselves together again. We ask this in the name of Jesus and in the power of the Holy Spirit. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here tonight. We hope that you all, especially those who are inducted, come back next year. We hope to fill this entire place back up and to induct the next class. Congratulations once again to Catholic League inductees. And enjoy the rest of your night. Well, real quick, ladies and gentlemen, can we just give a round of applause to Brother Rice Broadcasting, who are